Everybody, welcome back to Lettermen Row. I am Austin Ward. That's Jeremy Birmingham and Spencer Holbrook. This is the practice report brought to you by Byers Auto. Championship week has arrived in the Big Ten. Ohio State will play on Saturday, knock on wood, against Northwestern at noon in Indianapolis. We will have full coverage for that all week, and we will be in the stadium on Saturday. As always, even though it'll be a little bit different, we won't have the full staff. Spencer, unfortunately, doesn't get to go and make this annual tradition for Lettermen Row. So the Buckeyes are there every year. They're going for their fourth straight title. Berm, it'll be for a spot in the college football playoff. I think the three of us can agree to that. All the doomsday scenarios that people have thrown around, they're very unlikely. They were unlikely even before Florida embarrassed itself by losing to LSU, but that should seal it. Ohio State wins on Saturday. They're in, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the Buckeyes would also welcome the help of Notre Dame beating Clemson again, just to kind of make that further, clear. But the truth is, Ohio State has done what Ohio State could do, and that's really all that this season for the Big Ten was about giving the Buckeyes an opportunity to win their games and get into the college football playoff. And if they can go take care of business next Saturday against Northwestern, as they should, yeah, I don't feel any personal reluctance to say that they're in the playoff.
Yeah, and it's been strange over the last couple of days with Dabo Swinney trying to, as always, running his mouth and doing so in very
more like Gabo Sweeney.
Yeah, Gabo Sweeney, undermining his own argument about why the number of games matters. Brings up 2017 when Clemson lost to Syracuse and still went to the playoff. Okay, then what difference does it make if you lost a game and still got in? Well, everybody understands that Ohio State is one of the four most talented teams or three most talented teams in the country this year. It's just manufactured drama, and Dabo and Dan Mullen are feeding into it. Obviously, they've got their own programs that they're trying to defend and set the table to get in, but it's got to be a little bit frustrating for Ryan Day or Justin Fields or Jonathon Cooper to hear those comments, be asked about them, and then not return fire, which they did not do on Sunday as they look ahead to this week, Spencer.
Yeah, I think they took the high road. I think it's probably the right road to take, because everything that's been said over the entire season during a Northwestern week has gone on a Northwestern bulletin board. So even if you don't say anything about Northwestern, they still find a way to make it into some bulletin board material. So Ohio State's going to take the high road all week. I think that's the game plan. That's what they're here for, and they're going to especially do it when it's teams that aren't in front of them. That like they're never going to play Florida this year. They're unlikely to play Clemson this year. So there's no reason to respond to what idiots like Dabo Swinney and Dan Mullen have to say, because both of them have made fools of themselves through the summer, whether it was with off the field issues or when they're on the field and they're losing games, or if they're just being general, idiots, I guess. I don't really want to say that, but for lack of a better term, like, these guys just don't know how to shut up. It's just better if Ohio State just goes out and does what they need to do against Northwestern and beat the tar out of Northwestern and go to the playoff.
I think that's what bothers me the most, is it's disingenuous, because every one of these coaches knows that Ohio State objectively has one of the three or four best teams in the country. I mean, from top to bottom, every single person knows that. Any coach who watches film, any coach who lines up the players understands that Ohio State is one of the three best programs in the country. And in this year of all years, like, when every single week has been an exercise in flexibility, an exercise in adjusted thinking, like, why are we trying to force this narrative that now you have to play this many games? The Big Ten rule to get into the conference championship game was completely made up 2 months ago for no reason. It was just like, okay, let's just do this. And then, like, people are like, wait a second, that was horribly stupid. Let's not do that. Like, this year is different. And Austin, you and I talked about it, on the road to Illinois, that we didn't get to, enjoy. But
we enjoyed the road.
In this year of all years, why doesn't the college football playoff just stand up and say, okay, we're taking Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame, we're putting them in the desert, and they're going to be there for 3 weeks in bubbles, and we'll see at the end of January. Like, who cares? Just let the best teams play and go from there. Texas A&M is not one of the four best teams in the country. I'm sorry. They're not. Period. Point blank. Zero. Like it's a pretty obvious answer right now to anybody who's watched football this year.
It's kind of interesting how when we're talking about this flexibility and adaptability, look, Ohio State beat Northwestern 52-3 last year. Okay, if the selection committee is going to potentially try to put the potential of a third matchup between Clemson and Notre Dame on the table, and we all know that Alabama is in no matter what happens on Saturday, why are we playing any of these championship games for those teams? If the playoff committee could just step in and say, those are the teams we want, and we're going to actually react and adapt, and the game can't be played, the Rose Bowl cannot be played in California, we're going to set up shop in Florida or Indianapolis or literally anywhere with a bubble.
Yeah.
The college football playoff has just like stepped aside and crossed its fingers and done nothing to ensure that event is actually going to happen. So when we're all getting worked up about these other scenarios, maybe they should have been working on some other contingency plans just to make sure that it happens. But anyway,
right, we're 2 weeks away from the Rose Bowl. Nobody knows where the hell it's going to be played. So what are we doing?
I feel pretty confident saying it will not be played in Pasadena. We'll get to that road when we get there. I guess, I'm not seriously suggesting that the Big Ten title game be canceled, nor do I want Pat Fitzgerald to, take this clip and put it on his message board, although I don't think that will help him win a game on Saturday. Obviously the Buckeyes want to play as many games as possible. They want to be in Indianapolis. That's their goal. Win the rivalry game, get to Indy, and then whatever happens after that, readjust. We know that they want to chase a national championship, but winning the Big Ten is the priority. So they do get that opportunity as long as everything stays on track this week. The Buckeyes are expecting everyone at this point who was testing positive for COVID or unavailable for the last 3 weeks to be back. A full-strength Ohio State this week, that should be a scary sign. It should be a team that should leave no doubt on Saturday about its playoff credentials.
Yeah, when I was watching Northwestern the last couple of weeks, I was just thinking, wow, Ohio State is going to have a lot of fun in Indianapolis. It's just Northwestern. It's a great story. They went 3-9 last year, 4-8, or whatever they were last year. They were absolutely horrible, and their offense set the sport back 30 years. This year, they've taken a couple steps forward. They found a way to win close games. Other than that, it's the exact same roster that Ohio State just pummeled last year, 52-3 on a random Friday night for some reason. I can't see this really being a game. And I know we did this with Indiana and we short sold Indiana, and Indiana came in and showed Ohio State that they were a worthy opponent in the second half. But this is not an Indiana team. And that's weird to say, the Big Ten West champion is not as good as Indiana, but this is not one of those situations where I feel very confident on Sunday afternoon that saying Northwestern's not even going to be able to compete with what Ohio State wants to do. I feel pretty confident that's going to be the case.
And that is definitely going to make the bulletin boards.
I don't care.
And I have something that I want Pat Fitzgerald to know as well.
Let's all get it out for Pat Fitzgerald right now. Just give him what he wants.
I think that Pat Fitzgerald is exactly what's right with college football. And I think Northwestern is a great story. And I think that they're a great team that has gotten better. We know they're well coached. They're disciplined. But they are definitely not the Fighting Reese Davises. They are better than that. So let's not disrespect them. But we can also understand that Ohio State is going to be a very hefty favorite in that game. And Ryan Day, for the first time this year, understands or seemed to acknowledge in today's press conference that the style points are going to matter next week. And maybe it's just for seeding's sake. Maybe they win by 10, they're in no matter what. Who knows? But if it means that they can move up and be the third seed somewhere, maybe that's important to them. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a 59-0 type Wisconsin blowout because this Ohio State defense, I think, is still feeling its way around. And I do think Peyton Ramsey is is a gamer. But Northwestern is not oblivious to what they're going up against next Saturday. I mean, they are the Big Ten's Ivy League team for a reason because they're smart and they can figure out by watching the tape what they have to do. But yeah, they're kudos to Northwestern. I'm rooting for them all the time. I always root for Northwestern.
Wait, so
great kids, great staff, great program. They're going to lose by 30.
They get to be the Big Ten's Ivy League team and Chicago's Big Ten team. That seems like a lot, Berm.
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to do it. Why not those fighting cats? That's what I always said.
Because Chicago's Big Ten team is Ohio State.
That's what I've always said. Go Cats.
You're gone over the top. Like I said, I was going to be nicer to some of these teams that are overmatched, but
I love Pat Fitzgerald. I think he is everything a college football coach should be. And I say that with the 100% sincerity in my heart. That guy could be a coach anywhere in the country, and he will never leave Northwestern because he loves the school and the fact that he played there. And I love that. I think it is great for college football. Great. I do think that Iowa is by far the best team in the Big Ten West. And it's unfortunate that Ohio State isn't going to be playing them, because I think that for the Buckeyes preparing for the college football playoff, that would be a better preparation. But instead, Iowa is going to beat the doors off of Michigan on Friday night.
Yeah, I struggle to understand why Iowa is not playing Indiana so that the Big Ten could try and get a second team, a New Year's Six payday for the league by having them play each other. I get that you want to preserve rivalries, but I would guess if you gave Tom Allen some truth serum, he would much rather be playing Iowa and trying to shore up a potential bid to the Fiesta Bowl rather than going for the Old Oaken Bucket. That rivalry doesn't quite have as much historical value as Ohio State, Michigan, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
But they have a bucket.
They do have a bucket. That's true. And you can't put a price on an Old Oaken Bucket.
Nope.
Anything else that you guys are watching for, curious about for the next couple of days as we get ready for this matchup?
Well, I mean, obviously we're going to talk to the media, or the media is going to talk to the players and team a lot this week with signing day coming up. And I think that the biggest thing is just how focused Ohio State is on, they're very good at saying the cliched things like, okay, we're one game at a time. But we also have seen them this year kind of turn off the lights at halftime in a number of games and not really play a complete game until the Michigan State game. So I just really want to see them build off of that and realize that they do need to go out and put together their best performance of the year.
And then I was just going to add, off of what Berm was saying earlier, I do have a lot of respect for what Pat Fitzgerald's built there, because in your guys' lifetime, you've seen Northwestern be absolutely horrible at football. And since I've known football, Northwestern's been pretty decent. So he's done a really good job there. They just do one thing really well.
Just that you watched them last year set football back 30 years.
What's 1 year? It's got a little bit of an anomaly. But what I'm about to say,
Spencer, you were born in 96, right?
96, yeah.
So, okay, but the year before you were born, Northwestern was in the Rose Bowl.
He's trying to get on our bulletin board, Berm. He's calling us old.
Pat Fitzgerald was on that team.
The only thing I was trying to get at here is Northwestern does one thing really well, and that's run the football. That's run the football. And Ohio State does one thing extraordinarily well, and it's stop the run. So I think this is going to be a pretty 3-and-out heavy game for Northwestern. I think Ohio State just needs to set the tone early, because I watched the Big Ten championship game last year where Ohio State had a lot to prove to a selection committee, and they went out and peed their pants in the first half. And I think that's one thing that Ohio State needs to understand is, like, they really need to set the tone early in this game.
We've got a feisty Spencer on our hands this week, Berm.
I love Sunday, Spencer. The last thing I'm going to say, and I know that we're taking this in a direction that almost feels bold predictions video-y, but I just hope Northwestern does themselves a favor and doesn't wear those Gothic uniforms again that they wore last year in Evanston, because those are terrible. Bad uniforms.
I don't think that they will get to, because those are their home uniforms. They wore them on Saturday. So
did they? Yeah. I didn't watch that. I was busy Christmas shopping.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance against Illinois. Just remarkable football, high-level football.
It was good enough to wipe out the Lovie Smith era from existence in Illinois. Black Sunday today, huh? Gus Malzahn fired at Auburn. Lovie Smith fired at Illinois. Woo! I'm telling you, boys. Every day you have a job in college football is a good day.
There's no doubt about that. Thank goodness that we have one, so that Spencer could entertain us on the practice report, brought to you by Byers Auto. You can tell it's championship week. Everything. The banter's getting high level. They're playing for rings. We're going to cover the chase for championships for the Buckeyes all the way to the finish line. That's Jeremy Birmingham, Spencer Holbrook. I'm Austin Ward. This has been the practice report, brought to you by Byers Auto. Stay with us for full coverage of the Buckeyes at lettermenrow.com.